Morning, everybody. I'm going to do the second video for today. I'm actually reviewing my Jonah. The next Jonah one is going to be chapter 2 and 3 where I teach. But these other things, the last few days are just, it's easier for me to just do the YouTube because I'm not uploading to all the little new sites you see. You could see I changed my yard a little bit. I had an old wardrobe I bought years ago at an auction for $50. Look, it's new. It's been in the garage for a long time. We really don't have room in the house. Actually, my wife does not like that wardrobe. She said, I like it, it's nice. So I put exterior varnish on it. I actually had it already when I built that. So, that's a new thing in the yard. But, what I want you to understand, that drug bust I mentioned, there are two things on that. First of all, it's highly suspicious that the way that they did that drug bust. Because, like I had told you, if you have an operation of that size, that's a lot of money to find. Almost, what, $500,000 cash besides it? And for that to have been happenstance. Whether there was money that they were supposed to pay, I don't know, to people that are corrupt. Or whether they knew about that place for a long time and were letting it go on. And then they had to have a drug bust. Because I said, some of the videos I'm making now don't look good to the CCPD. It's a possibility. Because that was, if we got to get one. So it's possible they knew about that for a long time. But they didn't say that in the paper or in the media. They didn't say we've been scoping it out for a year. They just said, oops, we were going door to door knocking, looking for a suspicious person. It was something they had, it looks like it was something that they had to get out in the media. Because, number two, what I want you to see, and that's the way that came out. Oops, we just got a huge drug bust today. And it didn't look suspicious to me the way that happened. The other thing I want you to understand, police departments can become corrupt easier than people understand because in our city you had city managers and mayors that, city manager Ron Olson resigned, mayor has had some problems. When you're in the police department, or you're in places that the average public, when they see you, normally in general, and they see the uniform, there's normally just an immediate belief that I can't believe they would be involved in certain things. That's sort of like what the garment carries, that persona with it. So, cops are humans, okay? And throughout the whole history of our country, just like you have humans that get into the drug trade, people that have sinful natures. So it's easier for those that carry that authority to become flagrant, like, man, people can't really do anything to us. The biggest surprise that, out of all the years that I've seen a lot of this, the biggest surprise that the guys that have had many years in crime, my friends, the biggest shock that they were, many of them, they said, you would not believe the people that we sell to, John, that are in authority, including judges, and you would not believe. So even in that case of the guys in the streets, you would not believe, because it's very flagrant. So to them, they see the underbelly of it. It's not every cop, but it's more than you know. And it's normally the guys that have been here for a long time. People that are locally, I mentioned Chief Simpson. Chief Simpson came from another police department in Texas. I think he was originally with Dallas. Oh, I hear the thunder. But he was an out-of-town person. And maybe if an out-of-town person comes in, look, when we had chiefs at the fire department, we had guys that got promoted from the ranks from captain, they went up to chief. And we had guys that came in from other places. Normally when you have somebody that comes from somewhere else, it doesn't work out as well in the sense that the local guys feel snubbed, like, oh, we got seniority, now we got to take orders from this out-of-towner type thing. But if you have people that have been here for a long time, any cop that has been a cop in Flower Bluff for many years knows about all of this. And even if that cop was not personally part of the, like cops pulling up to a meth house, my friend says, maybe we should run. No, he's okay. Every cop from the Bluff that has a long seniority here knows this. Maybe the newer ones don't. That's why I'm very leery about our current police chief. Because the average public does not see, and they just don't believe something like that could happen. And it was the flagrant way that it happened for many years. Okay? And that's what I noticed. Like, and so when you see me upset about just throwing out, which these cops here are common to, throwing out, criminal trespass, we can just, because they do that. They use that. Just for anybody, that guy riding the bicycle, or you're not in the bike path, you're going to jail. Look, you guys doing that are criminals. And you know it because you're abusing your authority. But here in Corpus Christi, that's, to them, it's like, what are you going to do? That's what they say. You can't stop us. That's the impression I get. Because they're like, who's going to oversee us, John? The city managers, who when they look at us as police officers, they're afraid of us too, type thing. The mayor, all of the people that normally would have an oversight of something like that, they really don't have any. Many of them don't believe that goes on. And then normally you would have a police chief. But a police chief, unless I said he's really someone that does not know. See, a cop that's been here for all those years, if he tried to discipline one of his men and say, look, you've been doing this, that cop could say right back to the chief, I remember when we were, 20 years ago on the beat, and you were with me that day that we did something that was maybe criminal or overlooked something that was criminal. And that'll prevent the chief from being able to move upon anything. Because you cannot be that many years from the department without some awareness. You say, but John, where cops cover up for other officers? Of course. Because it becomes like common. I gave you the case of the officer that is in federal prison today is McChester for the sexual assault of a minor. But a fellow cop was covering up for that. So the public has a perception, and often they don't want to believe this. That's why you can have corruption, particularly within those that are in authority. I don't count it a slight thing, with knowing the way they abuse the whole, I can arrest you for any reason I want, which they've done to many of these guys. Stop, and you could just go to church if they want. And then, what do you reckon, my friend Gabriel? Drinking a soda under where I showed you. 3 days in jail, still trying to pay it. They get them in the system like, we will F with you for... That's criminal what these guys do. Don't ever forget that. That's criminal what these guys do. So I want you to see this indeed does go on in this city. And it'll go on today. It'll go on today. So that's what you look at, that drug raid that I mentioned. They just popped along that house, and the way they popped along. So they either knew. They didn't say, oh, we were scoping out that house for a year or whatever. Normally they check out a place, they have complaints from. They didn't say any of that. They said, we just knocked on the door, and these two 22 and 23-year-old boys were running such a huge operation and nobody knew about it. That's not true. That's not true. So they needed to have something in the media. That's what happened, I believe. Okay? And you look at it yourself. See, you question.